Hi all, welcome to the VOLTHA TST meeting, Jan 21st. This meeting will be recorded and uploaded in social media. We'll start off as usual with the status of PSTN. I see Jan. You can, anyone?
Yes, please allow me to share.
Yep.
Okay, so for the milestone 1.4, the OLTs are updated. We have received firmware for the glass faster ONUs. Version 1 ONUs in the lab were already to the latest version, so no need to update those. The glass faster version 2, that included this one that has a slightly different model number. We have upgraded those two, plus the cycle. The only ones left are the alphas, but we have not yet received any firmware of those. So if there's any firmware to update, we will need that so we can complete the milestone. And if not, the milestone is complete. We have also updated the guide with the details of how all these update procedures have been done, and that's in the drive that we already shared with you. So from our side, unless there is any firmware for the alphas, we will be done with the milestone. Okay, should I take this as confirmation that these are the latest
Yes.
version of the alphas?
For the Atron ones, yeah. Sorry. For the Sercom ONUs, yes, these are the latest. Alpha ones we don't use here. Let me check. I'll check and get back if I could help here. If we have for that model any new firmware.
Okay, then that's actually, I mean, from our side, that part is done. There is one point here that it's the functionality is verified against predefined criteria, but the old ONU vendor. What we have been using for that is just making sure that at least we have a data plane working in the different pipelines. That's done. So here also, unless we have some other criteria to verify that, we will call it done. And we'll need to wait for your review and approval of the documentation. And then moving on to the state of the pipelines, the Radisys DT and Atran DT, we have been running, I mean, several times the pipeline. These now are stable, but they are still having, I'm guessing, expected errors in some of the tests. Some of them are bandwidth or different details. But our impression is that, I mean, as I said, the pipeline is stable, and those are actually the pipelines fulfilling their mission and detecting either configuration issues or issues in the software itself. So our intention is also as well handing these two pipelines over to the TST, that someone will need to review them and see if there is if it's a configuration issue or a software issue. Right now, all the pipelines are enabled but not scheduled. We remove, so you need to manually trigger those from Jenkins. And also we have commented out in the config, so there is only one ONU left for each pipeline. Just so the time it takes for one test, it's shorter. We can just re-enable those commenting out uncommenting the relevant config, but we didn't find, I mean, the issues that that remain, those don't seem to be related to specific ONUs. I mean, it's not that one of the ONUs is failing and the other is working perfectly, but this is shared between the ONUs. So for us, looks sensible to just keep one ONU in each pipeline until that is solved. Another thing that we found out is that when last week or the week before, changes for the latest version of VOLTHA started getting pushed to master, one of the components broke the pipelines. So this component, we have pinned that to the version before. That's what the one showing these results.
And that should be resolved now. Can you just please check? I think so.
Okay,
For a couple of this, we have pushed it back.
Okay,
so
we will check the unpin the version and retest.
Yeah,
and we are still working in the cycle pipelines. Make sure that these are in the same condition. So so we can continue working in parallel. These pipelines are all of them are running in pod 1. So we will keep for us the pipelines in pod 2 that are the ones for cycle. But no need to synchronize for us, so anyone can run any test in the first pod. Okay, let me just bring this over here. I mean, these 3 pair of pipelines are the ones that we are talking about. So in order to you most likely know about this. Here you can see the different stages, the logs, and the results of the different tests here. Okay, so in order for you to run a new test, is just launching the build, and automatically the test pipeline will launch once the build is done. The only point where you need to be careful about is if you were to click a new build while the test is running, nothing weird will happen. The worker will complete the test phase and then start a new deploy plus test. If you click a second build while the first build is running, then you sort of will stomp over this second test, because you have first the build, then the build, and then the test. So that's the situation that you want to avoid. And that's it for the DT pipelines. For the TT pipelines, also the Radix TT is quite stable. There is an issue there with the multicast that we have been emailing about. Again, that doesn't seem something about the pipeline, but either something of the configuration or the ONU. We have tested both. I mean, we swapped to the Glasscom version 2 ONU, but still the multicast doesn't work. We see the traffic, as we have explained, traffic reaching all the way down to the ONU, but the configuration of the ONU is the one that seems not to be as it should.
Yes, on that, actually the DT pipeline or DT workflow use case doesn't use multicast profile configuration.
No, it's only the TT. Sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. I mean, it moved to the
No. Yeah, I got it. So what I'm saying is the ONTs, right? So Glassfaser modem 1 and modem 2, they are used in DT's production. So there we don't configure the multicast profiles. It's not used there. So I don't know if it works properly with multicast enabled, configuring the multicast. So that's what I mentioned in the mail to Christine as well.
Okay.
So we don't test the multicast there. So probably one of the alpha ones you could give a try.
But the alphas are XD spawn, if I remember, and this Radix is working. This is a GPON pipeline. So what I mean, if that's it, I think that maybe it's skipping this test, or I don't know how that should be fixed. What we have done right now, it's in one of the in the endpoint for these pipelines, we have moved the iperf because there is a check in the test that say if iperf is not present, then skip the test. So that's what we have done right now. So all the other tests are performed, just not the iperf over multicast. That's the one failing.
Okay.
Have you tested with alpha or not?
Alpha, but alphas are in the cycle that it's still not as stable as we would like. So that's why we are not presenting the results. We do have that in mind, but that's for the cycle XGS pipeline. We will check that, and once we feel comfortable with how the cycle is reacting, we'll try that and let you know how that goes.
Okay, this ONUs you are trying with the Sarcom ONUs, did they previously connected to the GPON setup and the tests were already running on that ONTs?
Yeah, I think those were, even if they were the same, these were specific for the, I will need to check, but from the top of my mind, there is, I mean, the ONUs, each ONU is only used in one pipeline, except for the multi-OLT pipeline that reuses some.
Yeah.
But so, in general, every ONU is only used in one pipeline.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out if this multicast tests previously were working on any pod, but I guess it was working on the pod 1. But of course, I don't remember which ONU it was.
Yeah. Christina dig in the archive, and what she found out is in 2023, not even last year, but 2 years before, you reached this point where everything worked but the multicast. So then I said, well, right now these tests are skipped, and we will once we are testing in the cycle with the alphas, we'll let you know the results.
Okay. Okay.
And that's it from our side.
Okay. Thank you again. Okay. Next is on the, we'll skip the release process. Now, the versions have been updated, all are up to date, and Eric is working on it. I think so. He's facing some problems with some of the tagging. Eric, yeah, want to share something or?
Yeah, the only real issue I've run into here, that I don't have much of a answer for is the VOLTHA Go controller, as defined in VOLTHA Helm charts, is pinned to version 0.0.2, and looking at our Docker Hub, at least, the only tag I see is latest, and it doesn't appear that repo is getting tagged and released regularly. It does. I think that Docker image of latest is getting updated. So I wasn't sure if that's a bug, if that's how that component is supposed to be released, if it's even, being used. So yeah, does anyone know what the situation is with VOLTHA Go controller?
Yeah, VOLTHA Go controller, we are releasing it for the first time this 2.13, and also there were pipeline changes which you did in the CI management. Earlier, it was not even pushing to the Docker Hub. So we made a change. I think so. It's just pushing the tag as master. We will also have to push it with the app tag as well.
Okay, so for the
in the CI
time being,
management.
should I leave the app version at 0.0.2?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Should.
All right. Yeah, I think that was really the only thing. I've kind of run into a few things. I am, of course, to some extent learning as I go. But that was really the only one that I couldn't puzzle out on my own. So,
Okay.
yeah, I'm continuing to uh, get the Helm charts all updated, and I think that, let me take a look before I say this. Yeah, that's the last large component that I'll have to release. The Onos components were kind of a large process. That's all done. So after this, the system tests, and then we can start testing the release.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Eric. I can point to the change what you had done earlier. I'm not sure what change we have to do to push a tag as well along with the master. But I can just check once, cross check once. Okay. Next, I just pasted the same what we had earlier. So, Sarkant, you raise a ticket. Do I record this? Okay, sir, I don't see Sarkant, sorry.
Okay. I checked. I haven't seen that come in yet. But also Volta Docs is on my list of things to release, and it's pretty much last, so that is like I was basically going to look into that either way.
Sure, I can create a ticket for that.
Okay.
Just to track it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could also just put the details into the release ticket if there's an issue there or just something I need to know about it.
Okay, sure. I'll do that. Yeah.
Great.
Okay. That's all for the agenda. Anything? The floor is open for any further discussions. Anyone?
Yeah,
Has any other?
I would have one thing. It's more like a question towards the TST about like how to continue after all of these initial work packages from our side are done. I think like we also discussed that to a certain point last year, that this is just basically the start to get the pipelines into a somehow working state. But then there's a bunch of different things that would need to be discussed. I think one thing is the maintenance for the lab itself, because I think like once we're now in a more or less up-to-date state, it would be good to keep it that way, to like continue updating the Kubernetes version, mass, pfSense, all of those things in there. And then I guess the same thing to a certain degree also applies for the AWS infrastructure, where to my knowledge, we would also need to upgrade certain parts. And I think the discussion was also going the direction, who will be doing that? How will we handle that? Is there any news to any of those things?
No, and I don't have anything right now, or probably we haven't discussed this further among the TST and also the governing board. I'm not sure if I'll have to involve the board as well. Probably I'll take it up. Me and Mahir will discuss and take it up to the board and see what we can come up with.
What is
Yes.
what's the
So-
time frame for when you think like we'd be switching over into more maintenance mode?
So, I mean, basically from what Jochen was just describing, so we're more or less done with the work packages that we offered. So, I mean, there's still the review, obviously, and there's some like minor things like verifying that the version of the firmware of the ONU is really the intended one. But that's more or less it then, right? And then we could, on the one hand, try to move into a maintenance mode for the physical infrastructure, but there would still be the outstanding issue for the AWS infrastructure. And like to a certain degree, also this gigantic split in software versions that is used for virtual testing and that is used for physical testing.
Got it.
Michelle, I guess we need to take this to the board about the lab maintenance. But for AWS, I think it should be Linux Foundation or Eric and his team who take care of AWS because of the permissions, etc. But the physical lab, we need to take this to board, and take board's decision here.
Yeah, so for next steps, I think maybe Abhilash, Mahir, and Eric and I can get together and try to kind of capture what needs to happen, what the options are, so that we can put together kind of a coherent proposal for the board to consider in case that, we need to dedicate additional financial resources. They're going to have to review and approve it. So we can schedule that outside of this meeting. And then for BISDN, guys, if you can take a look, I know you had already scoped out some of the maintenance tasks that were in the initial proposal. It might be helpful if you can review those and make any adjustments that you think are needed now that most of the work has been done, and update a proposal with just, what you think needs to be done maintenance-wise moving forward, so that can be considered.
Okay, so that would basically be like a small like outline quotation, whatever you want to call it, for maintenance, like annual maintenance or something for the physical lab infrastructure.
I believe so. That was what was in the remaining milestone deliverables that we had kind of separated out from what the board committed to doing, right?
Sounds good. And I would be sending that to you, or where would I be sending that?
You can send that to me and add Mahir and Abhilash as well, so that they can see the full scope of it, of what's being proposed, because they're going to have to sign off on it as well.
Okay, sounds good. I'll try to prepare that.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you. And then Eric, Mahir, and Abhilash, I'll reach out to you offline to set up a quick sync as far as what next steps are for the community lab. Does that sound good?
Yep,
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. We are done for today. Anything else before we close? Right. Thank you all. Thanks for your time. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.